My name is John Mwanza. I'm country director for Adra, Uganda. But before coming to Uganda, I started from Adra, Zambia, my home country, where I worked for 5 years as an accountant, finance officer for USAID-funded program and the World Bank-funded program. But then later on, I deputized the finance director, and from there I moved going to South Sudan as a consultant in South Sudan over a USAID-funded program. I was in South Sudan as a consultant for 1 year, 6 months, and thereafter I was moved to Sudan as the finance director. And I was in Sudan as finance director from 2009 to 2014 December, when I changed to become a church worker. And then from there, I was moved to go to Lebanon. I was there as finance director also, and I was in charge of Lebanon office and the Syrian office. Syria also were there because it was the region, and Syria was the biggest office, though we were based in Lebanon. I was also being asked now and again to support Yemen, but also I went to Kurdistan, Iraq, also to support them for a month, because that was the beginning of the program in Iraq. Having worked in the Middle East, or specifically in Lebanon and Syria, for 3 years, I felt that probably it was time to come back to Africa, and there was no position for finance director, and so that's how I changed, and I became the country director, and I was posted to South Sudan. I worked in South Sudan for 5 years, and from South Sudan, that's after my mission, that's how I moved now, because the contract came to an end. When we are posted as a country director, you are supposed to work for 5 years, and thereafter you move on to another country. And so that's how I came to Uganda. Uganda has been an interesting place, but as you know that Adra is an organization under the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but also each office is affiliated to the network, and of course where we have like our international office being in Washington. And why we say that that's our head office, because this is where all the licensing and where it happens. And so for Adra Uganda to be able to exist, of course there is the board itself within the country in Uganda, and this board is chaired by the union president, and we have other board members. And the church is the one within Uganda that applies for licensing or for the opening of the office. But when the office is opened, there are certain standards which are supposed to be followed. And these standards are issued by Adra International, which is our international office. And right now we are licensed, fully licensed to operate and to get funding outside Uganda, which means that our license, we have complied with the standards, and our license is for 5 years. So we last got one, I should think, around 2019, thereabout. And so there was a review last year. So we are good to go for now. And of course, apart from the board, we have the senior management team that does the day-to-day work, and in terms of seeing that things are moving well. But apart from this, we have also committees which helps to run the programs. We have the PROCOM, which is the programs committee, but also we have the procurement committee, And apart from these committees, we have the country strategy which we rolled out this year. And this country strategy, for it to be effective and to ensure that at the end of 2030 we achieve the objectives set, we created what are known as accountability teams for each pathway. And so these accountability teams, they meet on a monthly basis to be able to see that things are going well in terms of implementation. So this is how the organization is being run, that it's not just a one-man show, but also maybe just to get back to the country strategy, that we have the 4 pillars within the country strategy. We have the first one, which is the faith, and the second one, which is the funds, and the third one, which is people or HR, and then the last one, which is programs. And so this is how these are structured. And within the board itself, we have also the committees which help the board, the entire board, to run things and to ensure that things are run properly. So we have the audit committee, we have the finance committee, we have the fundraising committee, we have the HR committee. So all these, they ensure that things are running smoothly, and we do have meetings on a quarterly basis. Of course, we do work with other offices within the network, and right now we are being funded most especially by Adra Sweden, Adra Norway, Adra Canada, Adra Denmark, Adra Finland, and of course Adra Slovakia, Adra International. Yes, I think there are 7 partners, but also we've had other partners who have come in, like Adra South Korea and also Adra Switzerland. And so these, they help to source for funding from their governments, and which they pass on to us, because those are called supporting offices, while us, because we are implementing, we are the implementing offices.
My name is Benon Matovu Babomba. Matovu is my middle name, but in Adra, most people know me as Benon Babomba. Currently, I work as a programs director. The program director is the team lead who leads the program planning and programming and planning in Adra, Uganda. The major role we do is to coordinate the different activities, coordinate projects and programs, coordinate in different engagements, like when it comes to conduct joint needs assessment with other partners, participating in cluster, but also we have the PROCOM, which is the project or program management committee at national office level. This PROCOM committee is comprised of the project manager, the meal officers, the program specific accountants, and also some invitees. This meeting sits every month to touch, to analyze the implementation programs, the implementation agenda of and plan and strategy of each and every project. And it looks at issues to do with, for instance, the coordination arrangements at different levels in the field, but also it looks at the risk mitigation, it looks at the complaints, but also it looks at the project dashboards, and which includes project performance to make sure that every project is implemented according to the timelines and the implementation schedules that have that are enshrined in the project or programs, budgets, program documents like the proposals. I joined Adra in 1998. I joined Adra in 1998. Sorry, sometimes the years disturbs me. But I joined Adra in 1998 in August. Initially, I was working as a Christian Children's Fund, and then I joined Adra as the Deputy Programs Director. But I was in charge of developing the programs and the projects. Specifically, my role was to conduct the needs assessments, from which we generate the project proposals, but also supporting the programs department in ensuring effective and efficient reporting, and also growing the entire organization in terms of project proposal development. And thereafter, I worked in that capacity for about 2 years, and thereafter I moved to managing projects. My first project in Adra was the Choga Integrated Literacy Program, which was funded by Denmark in northern Uganda during the war. And thereafter, I managed the Road Development Initiative project funded by SIDA through Adra, Sweden. Then I managed another program also funded by SIDA, HIV/AIDS program. And after that, they invited me to come back to head office and work as program officer. That was in 2009. And after 1 year, they promoted me to work as the emergency coordinator. And after 1 year, I was promoted to work as the programs manager. The program manager is the associate to the programs director, the position which I supported for over 10 years as emergency coordinator as well as a programs manager, deputizing the programs director. I worked in that position up to 2017, and from 2018, I was again promoted to the position of programs director, but in charge of emergency. After 2 years, again, I was promoted to be the overall programs director, handling the development and humanitarian, the position which I'm serving right now. I just wanted to briefly say that working in Adra is like working as a missionary. I take my role and my work as a missionary. It's not just like working for money, but serving those who are hurting, serving people who are distressed, serving the vulnerable, serving those who need our dear help. So because of that, I'm motivated, and it has forced me to concentrate in this organization, working in the same organization after I left Christian Children's Fund. For the last 25 years, I've been working here, serving different capacity, and some of the success stories which I cherish is that before I started working as a humanitarian coordinator, Adra was implementing what we call hit and run emergency responses, what we call the rapid responses. But when we initiated this department, the emergency department, God opened up opportunities, and we started writing very successful proposals, and we started implementing major humanitarian programs supporting refugees, both from DRC and Yumbe. And we've had success story from the projects funded by Adra Canada, Adra Sweden, Adra Denmark, Adra Slovakia, Adra International. We have had also other donors like Latter-day Saints coming in to support the persons of concern in the different refugee settlements like Chaka, Ramanja, Bidibidi, Ajumani. We had Alele, Nyomanzi, and so on, Palorinia. We have done a lot of work in those areas, including in Vepi in Arua. So much of our work in humanitarian success story has been in supporting the protection sector, whereby Adra has managed to construct classrooms, a number of classrooms, to support the early child education development in those areas. Also supporting the young people through psychosocial counseling, reducing on the trauma of the young girls and boys who had been traumatized by the brutal civil wars in the two countries, that is South Sudan and DRC. We have also introduced school feeding, the parent-driven model school feeding model within the refugee communities. This has been very instrumental in supporting the school-going children to enroll in school. For instance, before we started the school feeding model in the refugee selected schools, the enrollment rate was as low as 300 pupils or students. But after onboarding the school feeding model, we started seeing increasing number of students, raising up to 1,400, 2,000 in one school. Apart from enrollment, retention was also realized, apart from retention, but also performance. We have stories where, for the first time, those schools where Adra is implementing school feeding model, students in those schools manage to receive or to attain first grade for the first time. We have also managed to set up large-scale solar motorized water points to provide safe and clean water to the refugees. And Adra was the first organization to do that in West Nile. Up to now, the biggest water distribution points in Mvepi and Bidibidi refugee settlement, they were constructed by Adra Uganda, and they are still functional up to now. So we have also supported the refugees in food security areas, whereby refugees have been able to work hand in hand with the host community to open up large tracts of land under the approach which we call a block farming. We have refugees today who are cultivating on large scale up to 100 acres, producing rice, that is upland rice, but also producing cassava, millet, which has greatly assisted in reducing the food insecurity, household food insecurity among the refugee community. Lastly, the innovation of technical vocational school, which we have under, for instance, the Adra Slovakia funded project in Chaka. We have a training center whereby we train TVET in agriculture, whereby refugee youth, male and female, are empowered in agribusiness skills, horticulture skills, but also we have TVET in other trades like motorcycle repair, phone repair, crocheting, cookery, and also tailoring, as well as hairdressing. That is under humanitarian. Under development, we have had also success stories measured in Karamoja region. You find that at the beginning of the beginning of 20s, Karamoja was more insecure in terms of movement because of the high volume of warriorism, cattle rustling. There were a lot of cattle rustling within the different tribes and tribal groups in Karamoja, the Pian, the Bokora, the Jay, the Dodos. They are raiding each other every time and again, and which made Karamoja a little bit impassable. But in 2000, Adra Uganda collaborated with WFP and Adra Denmark, Danida, and we supported the Go Back to School program whereby Adra was distributing foods to the schools to encourage children to come and study. After that project, we are blessed that it paved the way for long-term funding from Danida, where we had programs like Kitenet, community-based groups to study what we call integrated functional adult literacy programming, whereby the different Karamojong groups, especially women, were enrolled to study literacy. By the time I went to Karamoja around that time, the literacy rate for Karamoja was less than 2%. So you can imagine. So this was quite a demand-driven program whereby the local leaders, the elders, the local government leaders, the elders found it as a great opportunity for them to have an opportunity at least to know how to read and write. And this was a very, very successful project because out of this project, groups which started like solidarity groups, they managed to evolve into what we call community-based groups, and later they turned into community-based organizations. And as I rightly see, or as I communicate now, today we have what we call formidable community-based organization from Karamoja, whereby the indigenous, the locally rooted community-based groups have been empowered to identify the challenges and problems within their own community, and they are able to identify and work around the solutions toward those problems. To date, you find that we have community-based groups who are implementing what we call village lending and saving association initiatives. And you find that these groups which were initially hitherto crying about hunger all the time, to date you find they have saved 40 million, 30 million. Today you find that they're doing serial banking or bulking and doing value addition. And life has changed in Karamoja. You have even you can also find people are doing what you call group enterprise, development activities like agribusiness, working as a group, and they do extensive or large-scale production. They harvest and they process, handle the produce in the way they're supposed to be handled, because they're trained in post-harvest handling, climate-smart agriculture, farmer market, school initiatives, which enables them to add value and also look for the market and dwell with the middlemen, something which had never existed before Adra started working in Karamoja. So we have had serious impact in that area, but not forgetting also the advocacy. The ultimate goal of all our interventions have been to empower the community-based groups to have the strength and the capacity and the competence to use a common voice to advocate for change. So there's been consistent advocacy on better service delivery in school, but also not forgetting advocating for the right of the girl child, but also the boy child. You find that the girl child is traumatized in Karamoja because of early forced marriages, but also the boys are affected because of the livelihood economy of Karamoja. Most young boys are not allowed to go to school because they have to graze the animals, and these animals are grazed very far from the homesteads. So a simultaneous and consistent advocacy has been one of the achievements we can attribute to our intervention in Karamoja. It has opened up a way for the girl child to go to school, but also the boys to be allowed to attend school instead of spending much of their time grazing the animals, hence reducing on the issue of cattle rationing and fighting among the different tribal groups.
The Batwa tribe, part of what is globally known as the Pygmy community, are seen as the ancient dwellers of the forest and have survived by hunting small game with bows and arrows, spears or snares, and gathering various plants, roots, and fruits that can be found in the tropical rainforests around the world. Their homes were mostly constructed of leaves and branches, and they have normally been nomadic as they follow game for survival. Until recently, these people were thought to continue existing in their forest area here in Uganda as they have for the last thousands of years. Even the Egyptians, over 4,000 years ago, mentioned these groups as a short-statured people living near the mountains of the moon who were experts in storytelling and dancing. The Batwa are proud of their heritage and uniqueness and see themselves as having skills and knowledge that many other surrounding tribes do not possess. In 1992, the Bwindi Impenetrable Forest and other forest areas were gazetted as national parks and World Heritage Sites in an attempt to protect the 350 endangered mountain gorillas living in the area. There were at the time about 2,000 Batwa pygmies living within the area who were evicted from their natural habitat. The Batwa have never hunted gorillas, but they were hunters of small game and they were gatherers. They held no land titles, so when they were evicted from the forest, they were given no compensation. Outside the forest, their existence became a major struggle for survival. Several civil society organizations assisted many of the Batwa families in buying land for them and assisting them with seeds, tools, and basic agricultural knowledge. The land given to each family was about 1 acre, which does not give very much land for the Batwa to cultivate. So in addition to cultivating on their own land, many of the Batwa also sell their labor to other farmers in the area and are paid in low wages or in food. The Batwa themselves have earlier identified health, education, land acquisition, home building, and preservation of their culture as advocacy issues. Adra Uganda became engaged in their plight already in 1993 when they started construction on a primary school in Mabuyamiro. This was funded by Adra Sweden. From 1997 to 2000, Adra Uganda implemented an adult literacy program, adding functional living skills to help them survive in an environment that was different from the forest where they had been earlier living. About 400 families benefited from this intervention. In 2002 to 2005, 85 families were reallocated from the settlement camp in Kisoro. They were given 1 acre of land per family, material to construct temporary shelters, and startup seeds and inputs. This was funded through Adra International. In 2009 and 2010, Adra Sweden supported the building of a girls' dormitory at Mabuyomero Primary School and had it painted. In addition, broken beds were repaired and new mattresses bought for the girls. A sponsorship program was also running with assistance from the staff at IBM in Sweden and the Danish Children's Fund. A total of 37 students were supported. Some of the students were sponsored to attend vocational training, and the first graduation of 7 girls and 1 boy in tailoring and auto mechanics was celebrated in 2010. That same year, on November 12, 2010, The Economist ran a story of Alice Nyamihanda, one of the young Mutwa that Adra Uganda supported in education from primary 3 to diploma level at Bugema University.
I was born in the family of 8 people that died when I was still young, and that time I started my primary level at Gitovo Primary School. By that time we were paying school fees, but my parents could not afford to pay school fees. Later, an organization called the Adra, Adventist Development Relief Agency, they came to my area. Then they constructed a school called the Mawiemer SDA Primary School. Then I joined that school. I completed my primary level there. Then Adra supported me in secondary school. I was in Sesame Secondary School. Then 2008, I joined Bugema University. And I was studying development studies, and I was doing diploma at Bugema University. From there, I came back to my area. If it was not Adra, I would be not like the way I am. Before, the way I am, I don't know how I can say. I was maybe like a mad person. But the way I am, I can go somewhere, people they can say that, hey, that one is not a Mutwa. Yeah, Adra, they did a lot of work for me.
When they say that that one is not a Mutwa, what do people mean then? Because it sounds like it's very negative.
Yes, because when they see me, there is a change.
Yeah.
You know, they always say that a Batwa, they are dirty. They look like they are not human. They say that they are not human beings, but when they see me, I look like them. So that's why they say that that one is not a Batwa. Even what they do, even me, I can do it.
In 2011, Adra Sweden supported the construction of a water tank and Mabuyomero for the school, but also for the community. The water tank has the capacity of 10,000 liters of water. During the last half of April 2012, Adra Uganda did an evaluation and assessment exercise with the purpose of indicating how the past initiatives have influenced the Batwa and what their present needs or challenges are. Through conversations with the local leaders and the Batwa themselves, we wanted to find out how the previous initiatives have influenced the Batwa community until today, and this is what we discovered.
The Batwa have experienced some commendable development with the assistance of different development partners. Like in terms of agriculture, they are now engaged in agricultural production.
So the current situation about the Batwa is that it's different. There's an improvement from the past, the way they were. They improved in such a way that they can intermix. They can mix with the non-Batwa.
The positive part of it with them, they are receptive. They appreciate themselves, and they are ready for change. It's no longer as before. Before, when you'd go to them, they will tell you, you just leave us alone. You give me money. But now they will tell you, we have to work. You see, that perception has now changed. If you called them and told them, please, we want to do this, they will come.
Then in terms of literacy, some actually now many Batwa can read and write with this introduction of functional adult literacy.
We had so many of Batwa participating in FAR. Yeah, they used to form a big percentage of the FAR classes.
Then, in terms of water sector, actually, it is the Batwa that have now that other big tank during the dry season.
Yeah, now about the Batwa, especially those ones that reside in Kanawa sub-county in Gitebe, personally I feel that these are now a settled community, because as compared to the other Batwa, especially those ones that reside in town, I see them now becoming very active and making use of the opportunity that was given to them when they are resettled in that area, because we see them doing some agriculture and even selling some of the outputs and cordially living with the rest of the other communities within that area.
So my view of what is happening right now is that we've got communities that have taken on advice and have moved to settle in other areas where they are more productive right now. But we got another community that lives in town and purely depends on begging. And of course, if you visit their homesteads, you will find that they are living in bad conditions because you are not able to beg and live a good life.
The other Batwa who have been resettled in other sub-counties have settled and they are comfortable, they are okay, they are working. But this particular group, they claim that for them they are urban and so they cannot go to live near a forest, they cannot go back to the rural areas.
Some of them have been relocated, as you say.
Yeah.
But when they go there, they find life not suitable for them. So they keep coming back here. Because here, there is town life, they can move around and look for what they can do.
These ones in town, for them, by the time they evicted them in the forest, they were not used with going the garden digging. So they don't have what to eat. For them, the way they survive, they depend on getting food from some people. So if you give them land, you have to sensitize them how to dig. Even you give them what to eat.
Impamvu cyabagaruye n'ubwinyi bwabo badafite ariko twebwe turi kubonabona nta murima ngira nta suka nta safuriya nta burangiti.
For sustainability part of it, I think we need, if we are able to relocate this community, there is need, for example, for continued advocacy. If we give them the initial inputs for them to engage in production, they must be supported by other development agencies and government, of course. It's the government's role to support every community.
The issue of attitude needs to be addressed first. Because even if we are talking of relocation, relocation should happen when they are willing. Because we don't need to force them. It should be voluntary and they should be willing to move. But that means we have to address the issue of their perception, the way of seeing the world, the way of seeing things.
Itaka ryanze nzewe narihinga neza nta nasiba ndava mu itaka ryanze kandi Imana ibimpaye urugo rwanze nukubera aho ngaho nkaguma ndahinga myaka yanze yakwera nkayanura nkazana mu rugo ngasinga yiruhande ngasiri ruhande yo kuzongera gutera mu murima gwanze niyo kurya nkayisiri ruhande igihe cyazagera kongera ngahinga imyaka yanze mu murima gwanze.
The approach should be that we empower them. We may provide some shelter at the beginning as we relocate them, but we must focus more on empowering them to be able to fend for themselves and stop the begging mentality, because that one has to change.
Nuko natwe bakaduhereza iryo taka bari kuduha n'imbuto dugahinga tukaba nk'abandi dugateza imbere mbe ntituze turirirwa nk'uko tubunga gusa turi gusabirizwa ngo runaka duhe nuko natwe dugatera imbere tukaba nk'abandi bantu.
Besides the obvious challenge with the Batwa in Kisoro town, local leaders and the Batwa themselves from 4 other settlements pointed out the present challenges affecting their communities.
Some of the challenges they do face, as you may know, there is lack of land, lack of agricultural inputs, those are the seeds, lack of agricultural tools, those are hoes, pangas, etc. At their community level, you'll find that the piece that was given to a certain couple. Yeah. Today their son has grown up and has got a wife as well. So the two families now are occupying the same land.
Like one time I've been with Star Southwest, and we went with Alice, and we're asking those ones up there where they would wish we were on needs assessment. They said we need land number 1.
Okay, the challenge they have, the first one is land. If they can get land, they can be like other people. They can plant crops there. They can get school fees for their children.
Itaka hakurya kinanira aho mwatuhaye ubu turi guhinga, turi kwezamo umuhogo, tukezamo ibijumba, tukezamo n'uburo. None mutwo kabaye gace, ariko ubu turi gusaba nk'uko mwaje mutwongere akandi tukore hagari.
The challenge they have, another one is lack of school fees. That one is the challenge also to the Batwa. If their children are educated, they can get employment. Maybe in the future they can be like other people.
They need education like any other person.
They're the right people.
They need to have inclusive education. They also have to fight for national cake, which is the education for everybody. And therefore, I feel proud when I see the Batwa in schools. And I feel proud when I see the concern you have over them. And I really thank you very much for that, and I urge you really to continue supporting them.
None twari turi gusaba kugira ngo mudusabe ubufasha kuko musanzwe mubidukorera abana b'Abatwa bose bakabona sponsorship yo kubafasha byaba bitumudukorera ikintu cyiza cyane.
Impamvu bitera yuko abana bataja ku ishuri nk'ubwana nyine bwo muri kureba hano n'ubwana butoya. Impamvu bitera kutaja ku ishuri, hari igihe cyo turaba twaburaye, ubwo umwana mu gitondo ntarabyuka ngo karabaje ku ishuri aririrwa ameze nabi, kandi inzara iri kumurya nabwo ntagomba kureba mu gitabo ngo yige neza. Inzara niyo bitumaga abana bataja ku ishuri.
Literacy, though some know how to read and write, our major intention now, we want to see all of them know how to read and write. It's not a matter of seeing some sections. Then we also want to see many of their children attending school.
Tubonye indi ikazi kaduhugura twagenda natwe turandika nk'inzandiko kabandi. Ubu ngubu nuko yakendereyeho baratusezereye barataha. None hubwo nkuko muje mutwongera yindi kirasi tuhugukirirwe rimwe.
There are also need the reading and writing, of course, because we apparently have 5,400 and something learners, and that one doesn't explain it, that doesn't solve the illiteracy. You should still come with, because there are those ones. Some lagged behind, some dropped out. We always have high dropouts. And we need also to encourage those ones to come back on board, learn, and then as well as stepping ahead to the functional part of it.
When it comes to the issues of health and sanitation, there is still need for further sensitization in practices and attitudes to alleviate diseases and lower mortality rates, especially among young children.
Then when it comes to health, they are attending, they go for health services.
Every parish has a health facility.
Okay.
And the issue we have is personnel. Health workers are limited, are very few actually. And it is worse with midwives. we have a big challenge to attract midwives.
akabyara kandi nabwo akiriye mu rugo nuko agakira neza agomba kuguma mu rugo cyangwa se yabakiza akakomezamo bagomba kumwihundikanyiriza mu rwari.
Our contraceptive prevalence rate is still low at around 8%, and that leads to high fertility rate.
And you know, for them, they really produce. That one, their fertility rate is very high. They are very active, you see? Just a household having like 5 kids.
The Batwa communities, I may agree or disagree. It might be due to high infant mortality rate.
Yeah, it's true.
Because every time I saw these women, they are carrying babies.
Yeah.
But you fail to see the population grow.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you wonder.
They must be dying
Yeah.
at a high rate.
Okay, yeah.
So that I don't think it is less productive.
Yeah, another issue would be the toilet facilities. Yeah. You find when someone has more than 2 families in a home and maybe there is only 1 toilet in the community, you find it is a bit difficult, people using it at the same time. And when they go maybe in the bush, of course the end result is people contract diseases, especially when it rains.
Kunuko mureba muno muri kureba ibyoroni ntabyo birimo. Hari igihe cy'abanyesuku baza bakavuga ati nyabuna mushakisha ibyoroni, kabaga ako kanya kubishakisha ugasanga barimya ako kanya ariko kugira ngo babyubakeho.
Then in terms of HIV/AIDS, we are scared because by getting involved in those extramarital sex and whatever, we think with this AIDS scourge, many may also be affected.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they are used by some personalities who have certain feelings that they have certain perception that when they are being used for sexual relations, then it serves as a curative system for certain diseases like backache, like it can also treat them from HIV/AIDS. So that one has also become a very big problem.
So there is a need for further sensitization against such, and also encourage testing, so that they can know their status.
We also found out that the Batwa's vulnerability is caused within the community through gender inequality, but also by other communities which sometimes take advantage of their poor circumstances.
We have also the gender issues where women are still backward much as we try, but development which is one-sided or led and dominated by men, we feel women are still down.
However, they are facing several challenges. One, these people are generally poor, they are very poor, and because of that poverty, they are being used by the local communities, either in stealing, either being used at a very low cost.
None mureba nk'imyifatire yanze ubwo kubaho kwanze no gufata isuka nkaza guhingira nk'umuturage nkabona utwo kurya. Ubundi naho ntagiye guhinga tukazaharugura aho mu rugano tukazanayo nk'udusate bakatunyira nk'akabakure, umva nta n'indiso nta n'iki, ubwo nuko tuzana mbe ukaba nkurigasa. Twe abana bacu nukubeswaho n'amaramu, kandi ikintu gitsaga abana bacu intege nukuburitso kurya.
Like for instance, a mutua can be used in a day at only 1,000 or 2,000 when the rest of the other communities are paid 5,000 to 10,000 per day. So their labor is actually exploited by the local communities. And the other second thing is that they are not fully integrated in the communities, because the moment they try to socialize with the other communities, they are not fully welcomed, and that tends to make them also become some kind of social misfits within the communities.
Through further investigation, we found out that some Batwa were satisfied with the wages they received, but many prefer to be paid in food, as that means they at least get one proper meal per day. If we look at the overall population, they are still disadvantaged in this regard. In our assessment, we visited quite a few Batwa personally. Through their stories, we could recognize and empathize with their challenges on the personal level. Here are some of their stories. Down the mountain slope from Abuyamiro Primary School, we find Kate Dusube's home. The house that Kate lives in is simple, very functional, and clean. She grinds her corn and other things on the grinding stone outside her house. Kate is very grateful for what Adra did to the Batwa community in this area. She remembers what the place was like a wilderness, when at first they came here. But thanks to the support of Adra, Kate managed to make it her home.
Bakoze cyane ubundi gushima ka Adra kubona yuko yatutuje kadukura mu bintu byiza cyane mu bintu bibi cyane ikadushira mu byiza kuko ubu turiho kubwa Adra kuko Adra yaratwigishije nabwo fawukira nabwo turayiga kandi Adra ikomezamo kutufashiriza n'ubwana na n'ubwana bwacu buri kwiga kuko iyo tutagira Adra kuba batwa nta kubari nta mutwe uri kwiga kuko ni kubwa kwiga ni kubwa Adra yari ubwana butatu kandi karapfa sigara na bubiri
she had 3 and 1 died
kuyombanaga na kandi kamwe ni mama nawe yarapfuye ndakariraga nagapfubyi kari hano.
Kate lives alone with her children, and the only way she can survive is through planting food in her small garden plot and by selling her labor to local people at very often too low wages.
Ingorane nizo mfite nizo umwana avuga ku ishuri yataha mu rugo ugasanga buza agasabune ugasanga buze mbese ikintu two kumurebera mu nkagatara ko gusomeraho ugasanga buze mbese nk'ikintu cyo kwifashisha hano gutega guca inshuro ikihe cyo ndakora nk'abakozi batatu nanga bangahe niho ndabona inshuro cyo kurya araza hikira inzara gihanganire ubwo ho ndakorera agacuro mu bahutu mu baseke ubwo ho kubarakampera kabariho umwana arira kabariho afungurira ingorane ni nyinshi no kuburaho guhinga mbese kuburaho twashira nk'utwaka ngo tuje turaberera abo bana izo mfubyi.
Between the majestic mountain ranges of Congo and Rwanda, there is a Batwa settlement called Jitebe. Besides the conversations with the group, we also personally talked to, among others, one lady called Kazia Mahoro. She's 40 years old and the mother of 5 children. She traced back the history of eviction from the forest and the hardships in the Nyakabanda resettlement camp. After Adra bought land for them, her hopes for a better future were awakened.
Adura ho mwadutabara koko mukadukura muri yugo muriro wese nzi ko twagize imana basabiti baba baraje ngo ngabakunda Gitebe n'abaja barajanya Karembe ngo muhanika amabo twabaye abambere mbese kuzina.
She also explained that they still have some challenges. Their livelihood possibilities and land ownerships are very scarce, and they are often forced to work for local communities for small portions of food or very low wages.
Ibyo twifuza muno deba twari turi kuja guca imigano none ubu urugano ruruzwe kubw'imvura ubu abana no kubabona ngo naba ntagiye kwiyindikisha mu muturage ngo mwizige ampe agapira sindabona icyo kubatekera.
While she was still a child, her father taught her beekeeping skills. We found a small beekeeping entrepreneurship right in her yard.
Data tangira kujara twijara ijya kugira iki akajara reba akabohe udutiba yamara kubona aratuzanye dukadusiga mu itaka dukareba hamashe ginkagari dukayisigiriza ubwo dutakangira kuyagika twamara kuyagika twagira mu kwezi ko kuzahogorora nko mu kwa 9 nanga mu kwa 12 tugatangira bakaja guhakora ubwo bagatangira bakakuramo umusaruro bakaja kugugurisha tukiboneramo iryambaro.
Kezia recognizes her need for further education. She believes that through further empowerment, she and her community could eventually reach a better foundation for a sustainable development.
The issue of the Batwa people is something that should be treated as an international agenda, and we should be looking at what kind of deliberate effort should we have in order to address the lifestyle of the Batwa people, because the worry is that us being a minority, it is an ethnic group that might disappear in the future, because there is no deliberate effort to look at the way of life and how, because right now they don't have where to stay, they don't have land, they don't have, they are just like they are displaced people, but where we don't have even some kind of interventions which are strategic to look at how we can develop them. So that is the worry, which I think should be looked at an international and a national level. Yes.
Muzungu